Hi everyone, and welcome to Club Live here at Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. We are live on YouTube tonight, as always, so get your comments in, and we'll do our best to answer them. If you can share and like, we would appreciate that. As a lot of you all know, that Carney said in the previous podcast, we will be moving to Patreon. We'll be doing that for the first game of the season. There'll be a lot more content on there, more shows. There's two different tiers, so the link will be in the description tonight, so go and have a look at that. Hopefully you can come and join us, but Club Live, as we've always said, will stay on YouTube for this foreseeable future, so you'll always get us here on a Friday night for free anyway. So yes, so I have a full actual house tonight apart from Mr. Haymarch. So first introducing Mr. Scott Carney. How are you tonight?
Yes, good evening, mate. Good evening, chat. Good evening, everybody. The weekend is here. I get to go watch Rangers tomorrow. Maybe not in the... I know, maybe not in the state that I wish they were in right now, but I suppose there's a lot of things to get into. But no, it's a weekend, mate. Very much looking forward to tomorrow. And a weekend closer to me and you and I romantic break to Berlin, mate, which I'm very much looking forward to. So yes, looking forward to getting things tonight, mate.
Yes, a week today, Carney, we will be in Berlin at this point.
We'll be in a bit of a state, I'd imagine, at this point next week.
We'll see what happens. Yeah. And next we have Jamie Mackay. How are you doing this fine Friday evening?
Boys, how are we doing? It's good to be here. I was thinking about coming to Berlin, but I didn't want to be a third wheel, so I just thought I'll leave it up to you to have a nice romantic break over there and enjoy the Steins. But looking forward to, we've got a lot of news to cover tonight, Rangers-wise, don't we? So looking forward to getting into it, boys.
Yes, and last but not least, we have Nicky, fresh from the golf today. We can see whether we laugh before we come on now.
Evening, lads. Good to be on. Scott and I obviously had a good chat just the other night on Club Nights pod, but now it's good to be on Friday. Looking forward to the weekend as well and chatting all things Rangers.
Yes, exactly. Chatting things all Rangers. It's been an eventful week. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Hadji on getting married as well. It was live on Romanian TV, which was weird. You could have watched it down in Edsman House for £3. Rangers were charging to watch it down there, but it was he is the poster boy of Romania, Hadji. That was mad seeing that he was actually getting married on the TV there, but.
Here, did anyone actually tell Hadji that he was getting married because he had a face like thunder?
He looked miserable.
I know
he did look miserable.
He looked absolutely miserable. It looked as if he was just chucking his life away. The poor guy. That was it.
He looked miserable because he knew he was stuck at Rangers this season because nobody's going to come in for him.
Also that, yeah.
I know, but yes, we'll get on to those kind of things later on in the podcast. But yeah, there's been quite a few things happening. We'll bar through. Obviously, the guys have talked about a few things this week, obviously on the Patreon as well. But we'll get through them. But first, the big talking point. We might as well get straight into it and not leave it till later in the podcast. I'm gutted Mr. Haymarch isn't here because he's the guy I wanted to come to first because he is in the for fuck's sake Brigade Tav. It is rumoured, and it's very strong rumours, that Trabzonspor, who obviously have a thing for has-been Rangers players in terms of Barisic, Lundstrom, and it now looks like James Tavernier might be going there. The rumour, I'd love to know what they will get on to, obviously, in terms of what we think the fee is going to be, but it looks like he's agreed a 2-year deal with a 1-year extension as well. The clubs look like they're not that far apart from agreeing. I know Sky Sports broke about half an hour ago that they'd initially rejected the first bid, but they expect them to come back, and I expect this to be done. Carney, obviously, we'll come on to Taven and what he's done for Rangers, but I think this is a big move for the club in terms of saying, no, this is going to be a new Rangers going forward.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, absolutely. I'm still kind of in disbelief. Me and Nicky have kind of been the same, I think, today in a group chat. I'm still in kind of disbelief that it's happening. And by all means, I'm not saying that I think it's the wrong decision. Everybody has their time to move on. And I think this is definitely time for Tav to move on. It's not only that, is how much would it be worth next year, and are we just going to let him go for free again? It's one of those things that Rangers need to bite the bullet and take the sentimentality bit away from it, the kind of blue tinted love glasses that you would have for players, and cash in when we can and make money when we can. It's weird that he's going to the same club as Lundstrom and Borna. It's very bizarre. Shout out to the guy on Twitter, though, whose comment was, knowing this board will be a straight swap for Lundstrom and Borna to come straight back, which I thought was very good. Very, very good. But look, you're right, mate, in terms of what Clement's doing here, and a statement intent from the club about it's time to see something new. It's time that we see something different. For too long now, we've seen the same thing, unfortunately, and Tav has fell into a bit of a whipping boy for many of the support. We have probably almost always played a style that suited him, whereas I believe now is the time for Rangers to cash in on him. And yeah, well, I know we'll come on and talk about what we've done and all that, but everybody has their time. And if the money's correct, the player's happy, and by all reports, the player is happy and he has agreed terms. So I'd imagine he's on quite a tidy wage going there, because his wage at Ibrox is also pretty significant. But it's a real sign of the actual guard changing and not us constantly saying it and maybe being happy when one of them leaves. I think it will start a trend. I'm not going to lie. I think it will start a trend within the club if this definitely goes through. But the rumours are too strong now and from too good of sources online and wherever else you may be looking that there's not anything in this. I expect this deal to be done pretty quickly. And yeah, I know we'll come on to him, but I wish him absolutely nothing but the best.
Yeah, Jamie, obviously it kind of broke last night, but you've got guys like, obviously, Stevie at Four Lads, Davy Edgar, guys in the know that are coming out saying that it's pretty much going to be done. David Edgar, somebody actually asked him what they thought the fee would be, and he said between the region of 3 and 4 million, which for a 32, so it'd be 33-year-old right back, I think that's fantastic business. What's your thoughts on Tav moving on after, if it was 8 seasons or something?
Yeah, well, look, I think overall, I think it's important to start with the fact that Tav has been a great player for us. He dragged us to that final in Sevilla. I think he was the best player in that campaign. He's definitely he's cemented some really positive memories with the Rangers support. However, last season, just not having his application and the way in which he played. I know he had a good goal return, but in a defensive sense, he really sold us short a few times. And when we really needed big players like Tav, like your captain, to step up, I think that's probably going to leave a slightly bitter taste in a lot of the mouths of quite a few Rangers fans, a lot of boys I speak to anyway. But overall, yeah, I think it's been time to move him on for a while. I think, as you said, Ali, I think 3 to 4 million for someone that's almost 33 on a big old wages to free that money up to reinvest that. Don't know if we're going to get 2 players or 1 player. I know we're going to obviously come on to the Traoré links later on, but that looks to be like the money that's going to be freed up for that transfer. So, no, look, I think wish him all the best. I'm one of the guys in the camp of I'm not sure he should really be a Hall of Famer, and that I think that could be a podcast in itself, maybe for Patreon one time. But yeah, I think a lot of people are in that camp as well. But I think you've got to wish him well, and he's going to join his pals over in Trabzonspor. So wish him the best.
Yeah, he is. Born on the left and Tav on the right. Who'd have thought out in Turkey as well? It'll be interesting because a lot of Rangers will obviously keep an eye on Trabzonspor with what the amount of players we've got there to see how they got on. Nicky, Tav's been a massive asset for Rangers. I mean, a lot. He's been battered by a lot of Rangers fans. You need to remember he was signed from Wigan for £200,000 when we were in the Championship at that point. He's gone to heights I didn't think he would go, but the time is right to move him on. It's time for a new era. What's your thoughts on Tav looking like he's finally leaving Rangers?
Aye, listen, I would agree with the boys. I think the time is right. I'll happily admit I'm a Tav lover. I always have been. The amount of arguments I've had in WhatsApp groups and on Twitter and in messages with family and friends over the years. And listen, there's been a lot of times that they've got egg on their face because he's delivered so many big moments for Rangers. You think about the goals, he's dragged us back into games. Jamie, obviously, I'd echo your point, he dragged us to that European final almost single-handedly through it. But likewise, I've ended up with egg on my face a lot of the time as well, because Tav has dropped disasters in big games against Celtic. He's dropped disasters at the end of seasons. We've seen his head go. Come to March, when crunch time, we're going for titles, we're going for trophies, we've seen his form kind of capitulate. So it is the right time. I think Scott also makes a good point. Here's an opportunity here to make some money on him. I don't know, what has he got, a year or two left?
2 years.
There's no point, letting this run down. He'd then be 34, you get nothing for him. There's an opportunity here for us to get 3 or 4 million. If you think about Clement's comments, he wants to bring boys in, he wants to bring in the experienced boys, but we simply need to get guys out the door in order to do that. Tav's the first one, and I think I would agree again with Scott that maybe this will have a bit of a domino effect for the likes of Goldson, that kind of leadership group that we have. If Tav suddenly leaves, then maybe you might see a bit of movement. Don't get me wrong, I've seen a lot of kind of wild theories. I'm looking on Twitter and stuff today about you're losing his goals and assists. I kind of get that, but I've said this for donkeys. We need to move away from this reliance on one player. We've done it for years with Morelos. We're now doing the exact same with Tavernier. And Tavernier's he's probably been victimised quite a wee bit. Tav, in my opinion, is a fantastic football player. I think the criticism that he has got, rightly or wrongly, has a lot of the time been down to the fact that he has simply been surrounded by guys who are not good enough to play with Rangers. Simple as that. I think you look at the 55 season, how good he was when he was surrounded by good players, a good system, a good coach. Player of the year in Scotland. The year after, he ran on that momentum with the Europa League run. He's been very unlucky. He's been, and yeah, listen, he should have more trophies in his cabinet. But listen, here's a mad idea. Why don't we just sell him and we'll sign strikers and attackers who can score goals and create goals? And that almost takes away part of the problem. He scored 15 penalties or something last season as well. You got a brand new penalty taker. That's half them goals replaced already. So, like Scott said, I wish him all the very best, mate. I'm interested to know what the fee is. I thought it's 3-4 million quid, somewhere around there. But yeah, hopefully now he moves on. Hopefully it's fast and we can have that reinvested in somewhere else in the team. Because in my opinion, mate, we have a ready-made replacement in Dujon Sterling.
Yeah, Carney, Nicky makes a good point in terms of we've relied on Tav and other players throughout the past few seasons there, Morelos as well. Tav's stats are fantastic. I mean, they are fantastic. You can't get away from that, but we shouldn't be relying on our right back pulling us out. We need goals all over the park. Middle at the front for me is the place we lack goals, big style. Do you think with Tav leaving now, that you will potentially see a change of formation? And also, do you think Sterling will come in at right back? And as we come on before the podcast, I was speaking to Jamie. Will we dip in the market for a second choice right back if Sterling is the right back, or do you think Adam Devine will be the backup to Sterling?
I think in terms of Rangers going back into the market for a right back will all depend on what happens for the rest of the window. If we get more money in and there's going to be money there, then yes, I would think we would. I don't think there'll be a great rush to do so, because I think we were all in agreement that we all want to see Sterling at right back now going forward. So I think it will depend on if we get more money in for the likes of Goldson, for the likes of Hadji, for the likes of Lawrence, Cantwell, all the ones that were linked for Dessers, for Lammers, they kind of players that we'd really need to cash in on and maybe get out the door. I'm not saying all of them, but there is certainly a few now that still deserve to go. I'm quite confident of Sterling finally getting the chance to be right back. He was brought in as right back. I think he is I think he's naturally a right back. I think he's impressed in other areas in the pitch, but I do think it's now his time to nail down that position for himself, and I do. In terms of the change of formation, I think with Tav leaving, it frees up a lot more creativity for the manager and gives him more chance to tinker with things. We have been far too reliant on getting Tav into the team. He's been the captain. He's probably remained in the team during bad spells purely because in terms of form for him, in regards to him being the captain. That's why he stayed in the team. So I think now there is a lot more flexibility, I think, in order to do things slightly differently. I think there would all be an agreement that we just want to see something new. We really do want to see something new. And anybody that watched Tavernier kind of post-Christmas time, he'll be remembered fondly, he will, but how good his stats are, and they're incredible. The 9 years that he's been here, his stats are unbelievable, but we can't cloud our judgment now with the stats based on what we have been seeing. And I'm the same as Nicky. I'm a Tav fan. I think he's been great. I think there's so many times that we would be in a hell of a lot of worse position than what we are now if it wasn't for Tavernier. But everybody has their time, and I think he's reached the point where he definitely isn't going to get better, and I don't think he'll be able to maintain the stats that he has been performing, or when he produced them kind of mind-blowing stats throughout a season for us while he's been here. I don't think he's going to be able to do that anymore, and it's very much time for us to cash in when we can on him, be it, I would, anywhere between 2 and 3 million, really. I don't think anybody can really grumble at that due to the age that he is and due to the contract that's left for him. I think it would be as much business as you're going to get for him, let's be honest. And yeah, we have to remember that we'll thank you and we'll remember you fondly. I will certainly remember you fondly for what he done for the club. And I do think he was let down by other players within that squad, because at points Tav was definitely more than capable for playing for this football team. But it's time for him to go now. It's time for him to go now, and it's right to give someone like Sterling the opportunity to nail down that position as his own.
Yeah, Jamie, I felt sorry for Sterling last season. He was played left back, sitting midfielder, right winger, left winger. He was played all over the park. Now he's got the chance to nail down the position that he came to Rangers to play. He's a natural right back for Rangers. He said a thing that Ryan said, and Ryan liked when he came into Rangers. He said they were asking about Tav, and is he similar to Tav going up the park? And he said, I'm a defender first before I go up the park, which Ryan liked. What's your thoughts on Sterling looking like he'll be the first choice right back next season?
Well, look, I'll go on at Sterling in about 20 seconds, and I don't want to continue the Tav bashing anyone I need to, but I'll do it for Ryan since he's not on the night. I think in terms of Tav as well, I've seen somebody in the chat there, his goals and assists from open play last season were very, very low, so I think you need to remember that. Overall, as you said, Ali, that I remember that interview, and that was refreshing for me. A defender needs to defend, and as Nicky said, we need to be buying in creative players with flair that are going to get us up the park and going to score goals. We can't be reliant. So selling Tav, it instigates a new Rangers, it instigates a new way of playing, which we've been crying out for seasons now. So I do think that Clement will tinker with it, and he'll have more opportunities to change the tactics in the way in which we play, which is a definite bonus. You could tell with Tav last season, he's just running out of steam. He's not got the legs to get up and down that side anymore. It's just you could tell it. He was running out of steam, and we didn't really have any deputies, as Scott said, to slot in at that position, because we were so reliant on Dujon Sterling being Mr. Everywhere. He played pretty much every single position apart from centre forward. So it's Dujon Sterling's position now for me. I mean, I don't really see the need to dip into the market for right back. I think Adam Devine is a perfect deputy. Obviously, had that stint at Motherwell. I think he played pretty well. I remember watching him against Celtic at Fir Park, and he had a really, really good game. The game that they just shaded it. So I think the money can be spent elsewhere if we actually get any in. So I'm sitting on the fence of how much money we're actually going to get in and we're going to produce with the sales that we're going to put on. But let's wait and see. But for me, mate, yeah, it's definitely Dujon Sterling's position for this season, and give him a run of games and let's see how he plays.
Yeah, Nicky, the only downside of Sterling last season was he was in and out the team with injuries a few times. I'm hoping a a good pre-season under him, because he didn't really get that last season at Rangers. A good pre-season under him, he'll be raring to go, and hopefully he can nail down that right back slot, because I like Sterling. He's got pace, he's got power. I remember we played Celtic at Celtic Park, and we actually threw him in at right centre half, I think, and he dealt with that Maeda all the time down the wing. And I thought, yes, he looks like he'd be the part for us at right back. What's your thoughts on Sterling starting next season there?
Likewise. I mean, I agree. Sterling would have been massively frustrated, right? As a footballer, that is not what you want. You don't want to be that utility man that doesn't have a nailed down. He will want to nail down he will want the old phrase is he'll want a jersey and he'll want to hang on to it, right? I really like Sterling. I think Ali, I agree. I think Maeda is in Tav's head, right? He has been for 2 or 3 years that he's been at Celtic. He is in Tav's head. Tav is terrified of him, right? Tav is completely terrified of him. His pace. And that's the thing. I say this about Maeda all the time. I don't think Maeda's a good football player with the ball. He is a fantastic football player without the ball. You look at his press and his pace. But Tav's terrified of him, and you're absolutely right. Sterling dealt with them the last kind of 30 or 40 minutes. One thing, you make a good point, Ali. We all talk about Tavernier, right? How good he has been, how good his stats are, his goals, his assists, how good he is at set pieces. One of the major attributes for me for James Tavernier is he's available 50 games every single season. In 9 years he's been here, he plays 50 or 60 games every single season. He keeps himself physically fit, right? He's in good nick, very rarely injured. And you're right, there has been a few instances over the last 12 months or so where Sterling has missed games, and I know he seemed to be missing a wee bit at the start of that pre-season there. Obviously, he came on, played against Ajax. He now looks as though he's in the kind of training video. So hopefully with a full pre-season under his belt, mate, he is a ready-made replacement, because I really like Sterling. I think physically he reminds me a lot of Bassey. He is very, very strong. He's so aggressive across the ground. We've seen that in centre mid and the other positions he's played. Stats will tell you otherwise. I've yet to see him lose a 50-50. You talk about tackles on the ground. I've yet to see the guy lose a 50-50. So I think, to Jamie's point, let's get defenders who can defend, mate. Let's get Sterling in. If he can stop teams getting up the park and getting in about the goal, because you think about the amount of goals we've lost at the back post, right? Combination of Barisic and Tavernier over the last 4 or 5 years, the amount of goals we've lost at those back posts. Stop that. And yeah, let's invest the money in our midfielders, our wingers, our attackers who can create and score the goals and give us that spark and firepower further up the field, mate.
Yeah, no, definitely. It'll be interesting when this deal's done and to see what happens with Rangers moving forward. But there's been a few comments about, obviously, Tav is the captain of Rangers, Carney. There was rumours that came out weeks ago, and it was poo-pooed by the club in terms of Jack Butland is going to be the next Rangers captain. Obviously, Tav looks like he is moving on. He is the captain of Rangers. Connor Goldson is the vice captain of Rangers. I'd be very surprised if we don't say the one player that will be the new captain of Rangers going forward. There's not many to pick from, to be honest, in the current bunch we've got there. But Carney, who is going to be the next Rangers captain?
If this starts the domino effect and Goldson does leave, which I think is still on very much on the cards, I think there's still potential for him to go. I didn't manage to watch the Ajax game in full, but when I watched Goldson, I thought, you don't look like a guy that's busting your gut to make sure that you're starting at the start of the season. He didn't look good at all. So presumably, he kind of might know that he's for the off. I think there's no coincidence that Tav didn't play. He didn't play any minutes at all, did he? In the first two, they didn't play any in the first two. So this has again been on the cards. It's obviously something that's been quite close and it had been negotiated. So if Goldson goes, who are you left with? I mean, like, you're kind of looking at the team going, who is the next one? Look, the most natural one's Jack Butland. It's just the most natural one. I'm not a massive fan of keepers being captains, though. That's one thing I will say. It's not one thing that I'm massively keen on. But you look at the rest of the team, it kind of has to be him. Unless Clement has some brilliant ideas, or we sign a proper well-established leader that's maybe captained previous teams that comes into the squad at centre half of the midfield or whatever. I'm not sure, but I think the most natural replacement has to be Jack Butland, in my opinion, because I think Goldson's probably going to go as well, and I kind of hope he does, for the same reason that I want to continue to see this change roll out throughout the club. But yeah, we're all going to say Butland, aren't we?
Yeah, Jamie, I agree with Carney. I don't like a goalkeeper as a captain. I don't think they can have as much influence.
I don't really know. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's probably it. I probably think that they can't have much influence.
Yeah.
I can't really put my finger on why I don't really like it, but I've never really liked it.
Yeah, I mean, Stefan Kloss was captain of Rangers, and he was a goalkeeper, obviously. I liked when Barry Ferguson was a captain, middle of the park. He could get out players and tell them what to do. Yes, Jamie, what is your thoughts on the next Rangers captain? And I mean, there isn't many guys at the moment. I mean, Carney made a good point. He might bring a guy in that's ready to be a Rangers captain, but there's not many guys, leaders you want to say, that can fill the boots as a Rangers captain, apart from Jack Butland, probably.
Well, I think we still need to find something this guy is actually good at, so I'd definitely give it to Desers for next season. It's... No, I mean, but Butland's a natural. He's a natural answer. Like, I'm a Scotty. I don't really like a goalkeeping captain. I just don't think they're very involved in the game at certain points. But also, to your point, we don't have an enforcer type midfielder that you can see as a sort of ready-made captain. I really hope Goldson is going to be on his way out, because it's going to be passed to him if he's staying for next season. I think that's where the armband's going, because he's vice at the moment. I think it's going to be Butland. If Tav moves on and if Goldson moves on, I think it's going to be Butland. Butland has a presence, he has a gravitas that you need to be the Rangers captain. The only thing, obviously, that kind of concerns me is not a lot of goalkeepers have been captains, but I think he'll be good in all the other sense. Like, he'll be good in front of the press, giving answers, things like that. All the things that you need to be a Rangers captain. It's obviously the majority of it is on the pitch in the battle, but you need all the other attributes as well. So yeah, I think I agree with the boys. I think it's going to be Butland. Yeah,
Nicky, come on. Of all players that he's got at the moment, Jack Butland, he sings his praises all the time. In terms of, there's the one guy we can't replace unless somebody comes and gives us some ridiculous, like 30, 40 million for him. He is the obvious guy to take the armband off at Tav. What's your thoughts on the next Rangers captain?
Well, Jamie makes a good point, right? We don't see a lot of goalkeepers be captains, right? But I mean, the ones who do tend to be pretty successful. I'm thinking of Casillas lifting the World Cup. I'm sure Buffon lifted the World Cup. I'm sure Loris lifted the World Cup. So maybe there is some in madness.
They were playing the good players, though, Nicky.
Aye, very true, mate. But maybe there's something in that. But I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Has John Souttar not been captaining us in some of the friendly games whilst Butland has been playing? So it maybe wouldn't surprise me if it went to, because I agree with Scott, right? I think there might be a bit of a domino effect. Tav and Goldson seem like best buds, right? It really wouldn't surprise me if he leaves this summer as well. And likewise, without going too much into Goldson, I think the time is right for Goldson to go as well. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if it was somebody like John Souttar to be the captain. The one thing I wouldn't be against giving it to Butland. I would echo the guys. I'm not overly thrilled about it being a goalkeeper, but I mean, I've got quite controversial views. I would be looking to sell Jack Butland this summer, being honest, and I know that'll wind a lot of viewers up, right? But I think if we think about Rangers and where we've went wrong over the years, you think about Ryan Kent, Joe Aribo, Alfredo Morelos. We have clung on to these players. We've shown too much sentiment. Jack Butland's stock is as high as it's probably ever going to be at Rangers. You think about the money situation, we are not awash with cash. Clement has already said that we need to get boys out the door before we can bring any in. Jack Butland could bring in the best part of 10, 15 million quid, which would allow you to build an entire new spine to this team, which we've been crying out for: a top quality centre half, a top quality centre mid, a top quality striker. and you could probably replace a goalkeeper as well. So I do have controversial views on Butland. I know that'll wind a few folk up because of how good he was last year, but we don't know what's going to happen. Butland could break his leg, do his cruise shit next week, and all of a sudden he's, you know what I mean? We're talking about 5 or 6 million next summer. So I think if he stocks high and there are serious suitors looking to take Jack Butland, I think in the interest of us building a team that's capable of challenging for the title and challenging Celtic, I would probably be looking to sell Jack Butland, and that's maybe why I wouldn't be looking to give him captain, my view.
Oof. You've split the support there, mate. I can even see it in the chat. You've absolutely split the support there.
Wow.
I think if for Butland seriously to go at your 20 million plus, before I think Rangers will even think about talking, and Rangers would also be looking for a significant chunk of that up front so it can be directly reinvested back into the squad. And I've seen people in the chat saying Kelly, need to trust Kelly. Rangers would go back into the market for a keeper. There's absolutely zero doubt that they would. Rangers would go back in and get somebody else. But look, if the money's correct, everybody's for sale. But I think Butland is the one out of everyone that I would think, let's keep him another year. That's my opinion anyway.
Yeah. I've got a feeling Butland will be here for this season. That's me just kiss of death on it there.
I mean, also Clement's quoted as saying 30 million. He actually said it in 2 separate interviews, I think, and he looked deadpan serious as well. Unless the board sanction it, then I can't see it, and I don't see it. I don't see a team coming in and splashing that amount of cash for him as well. I think the most you're getting is 15 tops.
And listen, I love Jack Butland. I think he's a top quality keeper. I just think that we need to be serious about the reality of the situation that we're in at the minute. We simply do not have money to do a rebuild. If the money is right, 15 million quid or whatever it is, and there's suitors like a Palace or a West Ham or whoever it is down south, they've got deep pockets, right? I would probably take the money this summer.
Yeah, I get it, mate. I get that. I completely do. Ali, where are you sitting with that?
Oh, he's a prize asset we've got. We've not got many assets, but he's a prize asset we've got. If somebody comes calling and it's a serious bid, and Clement's come out and says we need to sell before we can bring in, unfortunately, I agree with Nick. You'll have to go. You have to go. Yeah. You'll have to use it. But it's good to see that Clement has the balls to get rid of a lot of the old guard.
Oh, I liked it, mate. Well done. Very good.
Time for a word from our sponsors. Gentlemen, do you want your grooming routine to be a one-and-done deal? Well, the days of using the same trimmer for your face and your private parts are over, thanks to our friends at Manscaped. They've come up with the ultimate package to keep your hairs trimmed. Introducing the Beard and Balls Bundle featuring the Lawnmower 5.0 and the Beard Hedger trimmer for the money maker and another for the boys downstairs. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code CLUB@22 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code CLUB@22 at manscaped.com. From the premium grooming experience, trust Manscaped. First up, your balls' new best friend, the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. This trimmer gets it right the first time. It is gentle on the skin and your delicate places. With 2 interchangeable skin-safe blade heads, you can choose between a precise trim or a smooth finish, and it's waterproof. Next, let's get talking about the Beard Hedger. Whether you're looking for a neat stubble or a full-on lumberjack look, this trimmer has you covered. Featuring a titanium-coated stainless steel T-blade and 20 length options, you can achieve any style you want just with a twist of the zoom wheel. Just like the Lawnmower, the Beard Hedger is also waterproof, so you can use it in the shower. So you can handle your beard grooming right in the sink or shower without worrying about water damage. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra ensures you're always looking your best below the waist, while the Beard Hedger takes care of everything above. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code CLUB@22 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code CLUB@22 at manscaped.com. No more juggling multiple tools or dealing with subpar results. Just efficient, effective grooming wherever you need it, all thanks to Manscaped. And just so you all know, Carney did put a red herring in there, and I found it today. So there you go.
Yes, I did, mate. I'm so gutted. I was anticipating it there. I was like waiting. I was sitting waiting. Oh, gutted. I need to try harder.
I've seen it. I always read it, and I was reading through it. There it is. So it got a big black mark through it. You'll see there the big black mark I put through it there. So it was put in. So yes, to be fair, the agenda I had tonight, I actually had a few more things to talk about before we got to the Manscaped promo, but I knew we'd have. I mean, it's a huge story, and whatever we would go on, but we'll see where we get to. I might miss out one bit that we don't really need to talk to. It was a bit Hampden being confirmed because we've not really mentioned it since then, but we will move on. We're talking about transfers. The lack of movement at Ibrox and getting rid of players. Clement has come out and basically said, as we've just said, we need to sell before we bring in. I think most Rangers fans, if you've been through it yourselves, understand it. Well, I said that last week, Carney. I said, don't be shocked to see pretty much the same players when we line up against Man United and even Union Berlin when we go, because we need to get rid of players before we bring players in. Obviously, Carney Tav's the first that looks like he's going, but we need to start shipping players out. I thought we would have shipped a few more players out by now. I know the window only opened 2 weeks ago. Sam Lammers is a guy who did play in the B team finally, reportedly on 28 grand a week. He was at Utrecht. We're willing to pay the money, but just can't pay the wages for him. I mean, miles off their wage budget, and fair play to them, sticking to their wage budget. A lot of clubs will need to do that, including us. But there is a whack of players, Carney, we need to get rid of before we bring in. I mean, just off it, we've rhymed them before. Lammers, Dessers, Cantwell. I mean, you're Lawrence, you're going, there's probably 8 players to try and get rid of. What do you think, as we've just talked about with Tav, this will be a domino effect now, and we will start to see these players getting moved on?
Yeah, the biggest concern for all of us, I think, should be not who we have, it's just how much these players are getting paid. And I think that's the bit that's going to be the sticking point for a lot of these players moving on, is are they willing to accept the money, a money drop even to move on and actually go play football, or do they want to sit and just take their money and not play football, which they are fully entitled to do. You can't expect everyone just to go, aye, no bother, that's fine, aye, I'll take a cut and away I'll go. At the end of the day, we've offered them the ludicrous money that they're on. Lammers especially, I cannot believe we're paying him 28-30 grand a week. Absolutely bonkers, honestly, absolutely insane. But you've got to hope that there's a few of them that will think, I'm not going to be part of the manager's plans. I want to go somewhere and play football and have a bit of, I don't know, professionalism is probably the wrong word, because I don't think it's unprofessional for them to sit and accept their wage, but they have a bit of achievement, they have a bit of drive in order to go and play football. And if it's not going to beat Rangers, then hopefully a deal can be done and they can move on. That's what we all hope. That's the perfect scenario. We talk about Butland being the prize asset, and he is very much so at this point. But yeah, with Tav going, I think with it being Tav first, I think it's even more of a statement than it would have been if Goldson had left. The fact that we are selling the captain of the squad that has been for the past however many years is a real statement of intent. It's a real statement of the purpose by the club, by the manager, by Coppin, to show that they mean business. They absolutely mean business. And now players going, he's saying I'm not going to be playing, or anyone that I maybe thinking the manager's words aren't really don't really mean much to me. Doing this and making this statement, well, I think we'll have a lot of players thinking, he's been serious here. He's been absolutely serious. It will get rid of any doubt that any player might have had that the manager's not willing to make big calls, because it's a big call no matter what way you look at it. I know people will slate Tav, and yes, the last couple of years he's not been great, but he was still the captain for the many years he's been. He's a Hall of Famer. Agree with it or disagree with it, he's a Hall of Famer. There's nothing that can be done about that. So it is a real kind of I mean, I can't remember the last time a player that's been here this long that's moving on, and as you see, we've just spent half an hour talking about him, and you're going, and we've not even really scratched the surface for him. So I think I want to hope that it starts the domino effect, mate. I really do. I still think there's scope for Goldson to leave, but you're right, players like Cantwell, Hadji, Lawrence, even to an extent, Dessers. I know I'm not saying just sell everybody and get new players in, because that won't be possible. But these players that are reasonable, sensible offers made for them, Rangers need to listen to it, because we need a real injection of quality put into the squad. There's too many players that we know what they do and that's what they do, and there's too many that are unreliable in terms of Lawrence as well. He breaks down too often. Even Raskin, we don't know the full details of his injury so far, but I had real hopes for him this pre-season to get fit, to make one of the midfield positions his own. But especially with Lundstrom moving on, there was going to be space for him to do so, and now he looks like he's injured again. So it's these players that kind of consistently let us down, and they're not in the position to play the games that we need them to be playing, to be in the physical fitness that they're going to be in. As I say, mate, without repeating myself, I do hope there's a domino effect now. I think that it's natural to believe that there will be, because we're in a position now where we need to sign players. So no matter how we get that done, no matter what needs to happen, this is what Coppin was brought in here to do. He has to get on with the business now. He has to move these players on that he has to move in, and we need players in. The fans will not be happy with James Tavernier going, and that's the end of our business. I still believe there's plenty left in this window. I still believe there's more to go and more to come in. We're just going to really need to be patient as much as we can, I suppose, for the next kind of couple of weeks, maybe up to a month, before we see the real shape of this squad coming together. But yeah, fingers crossed, mate, it starts some of the outs and we get rid of some of the people that we consistently talk about.
Yeah, Nicky, the issue that Rangers fans have is we play Hearts 2 weeks tomorrow in the league when it gets going, and we've really not brought anyone in that is a first team player. Connor Barron at a push, you could say, could play there. But yeah, the difficulty is with these guys, and when we talk about Lammers and 28 grand a week, he's got a 4-year contract with us at Rangers. He's entitled to sit there if he wants. Does he have to go? I remember years and years ago, it was at Bobo Baldi at Celtic. He sat in the stands for a year because he was reported with 40 grand a week or something. Sat there for a year, took his wages. These players have a lot of power, and it'll be hard to get them off the books. Some of these players we've got, Nicky, I wouldn't say there's a long list of clubs looking to come and get these players because they're not showing anything last year and previous years. So it's going to be extremely difficult to move a lot of these guys.
It is, mate, and Scott's right. Can you blame them? Right? We're the ones, or Michael Beale or whoever it was that signed off on these wages are the ones who are daft enough to have given them players. It's a short career, right? Sam Lammers is 28, 29, 30, I don't know, somewhere around there. He probably only has another 5 or 6 years playing football, so it is a very short career. They are in there to make as much money as possible, and if Utrecht are only able to offer him half his wages, why would he go, right? He's not interested in doing Rangers a favour, right? He's not a Rangers fan like the four of us, right? Who would go, do you know what? I'll do Rangers a favour here. He's not interested in that. So, and you're right, Ali, we're awash with these players. Tom Lawrence, Ben Davies, Matondo, Dessers, as well as Sam Lammers. We simply do not at the moment get value for money out of this squad. You think about it, we must be one of the worst in Britain, right? Man United, I think, is probably top of that. You think about the money we're spending on wages and the value we get off the back, we must be one of the worst, right, in terms of that pound value. But yeah, it is going to be very, very difficult. I'm with Scott. I still think there will be business done. I think it was always going to be an awkward window because of the Euros. Everything went on kind of pause at that point. Agents, clubs, etc., were out at that, and maybe we will see some of the bigger things happen, like the Premier League, and then it'll potentially start filtering down. But Ali, you make a great point. We're then running the risk, right? We're running the risk that we do not get the start that we want in the league, and we've already got things going against us, right? Not playing at Ibrox, etc. We've already got things that are kind of beginning to stack up against us. But the bigger thing for me, mate, is you get Hearts out of the way very, very quickly. We are going to have Champions League qualifiers. And we said this during the week, Scott, didn't we? That there is a 30 or 40 million quid carrot that's dangling there that we're almost gambling with a wee bit at the minute by not bringing in these recruits and having guys ready to hit the ground running when these qualifiers come round. It's not moving fast enough for me. I'm not sure there's much we can do about it. As I say, the situation that we're in at the minute is we need players out the door before we can bring these players in. I don't think this Rangers board is going to gamble by spending 10 or 15 million right now in the hope that either A, we get the Champions League, or we eventually get players out the door, because it might not happen, and then all of a sudden we're in financial issues again. So we are running the risk, mate. It is not moving as fast as I would have liked. I do still hope that we will see movement out and in between now and the transfer window closing, but I suspect, don't mean to burst MD's bubble, I suspect that we will be into the league campaign and the Champions League qualifiers will be out the road, whether we win them or lose them, before I think we see bodies coming in. Just the nature of this window, I think, and how long it's taken us to get boys off the books.
Yeah. I mean, Jamie, look at the team that started against Ajax. Jack Butland, Sterling, Goldson, Davies, Jeffrey, Raskin, Diamande, Kieran Dowell, Lawrence, Matondo, Dessers. There's no many there you're keeping, is there, when you go through that? And the reality of it is, and a lot of Rangers fans won't like to hear it, is, but we're going to have to go with probably near enough that team the start of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see us really bringing in players in the next 2 weeks unless we shift these players off the books.
Well, boys, you know I'm ever the optimist. I like to take a sort of nice view of all things Rangers, but with this, I just kind of see it. 2 weeks tomorrow, we're going to the Tynecastle. You need bedding in period for potential players, and I just can't see us shifting that many. As the boys said, like, see, if you were in that position in your job, right, and you were paid more than you were worth in your job, you'd sit tight. You would just sit and take the money. So this is what we're up against. Also, a huge
Ali's been doing that for absolutely years, mate.
As is Ryan with his 80 days holiday a year. Do you know what I mean?
That's also true. Yes.
The boy gets away with murder. So no, something else to flag. Something else to flag is we've actually. I think the last time we had a good structure in the club was when Mark Allen was here, and we made some good signs in. From that point, obviously we got Ross Wilson in. It didn't work out, and then Beale just decided he wanted to buy players and give them inflated salaries. Now we're stuck with them. As you said, they didn't perform. A lot of these players didn't perform well enough to merit a transfer. I mean, I think like you've really got to hope that a championship team comes in for the likes of Tom Lawrence, or I mean, actually, I think Ben Davies could stick around, because I actually think towards the end of the season he was showing something. He might be a good reserve at centre back, but yeah, a lot of these players, as you said, you can go through 5, 6, 7 of them that really need to be moved on. But I just can't see it happening within 2 weeks. We've got a game at Tynecastle, and then that week we also have our first qualifier in the Champions League. So yeah, when I sat and looked at that lineup last Saturday for the friendly against Ajax, I thought, God, one new player, and it's just like your heart just kind of sinks a wee bit. And I've got to prepare folk to have that exact same feeling on Saturday, the 3rd of August, when we go to Tynecastle, because I don't think there's going to be a massive amount of ins and outs, possibly 1, 2 at a push. But really, this is why we needed these players in quickly, so they could get used to the manager's style of play, so they could get fit. So there's so many contributing factors. That's not going to happen now. So really, you're not going to see us play the way we want to play and have the players we want to have in this team until well into August, I'd imagine, even if that is the case. But players need to be moved on. If they're not moved on, I'm sorry to say, we're stuck with them, and it might be Lammers at number 9 this season, boys.
Oh, don't say things like that. Don't say things like that.
Sorry.
Jamie was a step close to getting an inflatable out there. I was like, oh, hang on, Jamie.
It's all right. John Bennett's coming out at the end of the month to address us, so he'll tell us what's happening.
Oh, that'll help. I mean, everything's solved. Yeah. Everything's solved. If John Bennett comes out and just talks to everyone, everything's going to be brilliant. We're going to win the league. It's going to be a treble. Brilliant, amazing.
Amazing.
Right, well, talking about players, players that are rumoured and coming in, because there's not been a much rumours kicking about the past, well, at least over a week now. But one that we were rumoured with weeks ago, to be fair, and it's popped back up again, Carney. Adama Traore, 29. He's a right winger. Reportedly £3.5-4 million. Stats look good, scores goals. A lot of folk are having a wee moan that why we're paying potentially 4 million for a 29-year-old, but at the same time, 4 million in the grand scheme of football at the moment is pennies, and we probably have to spend that for a guy that's half decent at that age, to be honest. So, what's your thoughts on Adama Traore potentially coming in? For me, it's good to see a right winger being identified, and he looks quick and pacey as well, and obviously he can score goals.
Yeah, you're right. Unfortunately, based on the way football is that 4 million is literally nothing at all to most teams. To us, it's a significant chunk of what would probably be the kitty, if that makes sense, or whatever may remain of that kitty. 29's a concern. It is a bit of a concern. I've not done that thing where I've went and checked all his stats to see how long he's been injured for, but I'd imagine he was injury prone at some point in his career, or else why would Rangers be linked with him? Because that's what we do. But all joking aside, it's an area of the pitch that we all probably need addressed, or we all think needs addressed, the kind of right wing situation. Obviously, as well, we were talking about it on Patreon during the week about Sima, the fact that Clement's keen to get him back. Again, I don't know where we would see him playing if he did come back. It's another deal that I think Rangers would really be really smart with, in terms of where we the way we structure that deal, because he is still young, but Rangers shouldn't rush in just to kind of get his signature, if that makes sense. It should be a deal that makes sense, and we're going to really need to box clever. At the end of the day, there's probably going to be a few that come out the woodwork now, mate. That the business is starting to move, the market's starting to pick up. We'll probably be linked with all sorts of players that maybe their great granddad's brother was a Rangers fan or something like that, and there's crazy links made the way the transfer rumours go. But the biggest bit, again, I can only say is that I agree with you. It's an area that it's a rumour that links are not a problem area, but it's been somewhere that we've tried to address. McCausland's done okay in spells there. I still think there's a lot more to come from him, and I'm still willing for him to be the understudy to whoever else we may bring in. But yeah, I think the most encouraging bit, it's an area of the pitch that we're linked with a player that I believe that we need. I've been saying for a while now, again on previous pods, that I still think we're one short of real quality in every department, apart from keeper, defence, centre of defence especially, the centre of defence, the midfield, and the attacking line across the front three. And obviously, if Dessers scores, we're going to need another number 9, because, again, it's risky putting all your eggs in the Danilo basket because we don't know what kind of player he would be in. Sorry, I went around the houses a little bit there, mate, but I'm just happy that we are linked with a right winger, I suppose, is all I can say about that.
Yeah, Andy Hillis says he looks a bit 40, and he says, remember Oleg Kuznetsov? I met Oleg Kuznetsov as a child with my dad, and he was the most miserable guy ever. I remember him. But moving on, I've chosen at the time for 52 minutes already. Jerry, another guy we've been linked with, is it Joan Jordan? 30 years old, midfielder. Looks the type of guy we need in the middle of the park, a bit of an enforcer, very experienced. I think the wages he's on reportedly 70 odd grand a week, whatever it is. But what's your thoughts on him? He looks the type of guy we need in the middle of the park. I know Carney's talking about positions, midfield, defence and attack. He looks like potentially a good signing.
I think he could be a bit of an enforcer in the midfield. I think that's what we need. I think he went on a few, because, Sevilla are that team that just seemed to win the Europa League all the time. So I think he actually won that with them a couple of times. I think that sounds like it could be a goer from, obviously, certain other avenues and fan media reporting it as well, that obviously went in for him, but there's still maybe a deal to be done at some point if we can meet with the sharing of the wages and things like that. I think it seems like the type of signing we need in the midfield for some experience, because the midfielders we've got are just, they're just a wee bit wet behind the ears. They're lacking experience. They need somebody in there. And I think we need a, we always talk about it on the pod, boys. We need a sort of Stephen Davis type to sit there and dictate play. He seems like that type of player as well. So I would hope that would be one that can get over the line. Also, I'd like to publicly apologise to Mr. Nicholas Hoffman, because I absolutely slated Traore in the WhatsApp chat the other night, because I went on Twitter and I seen somebody say Traore's mince, he's terrible, he was injured last year, his goal and assist returns been rubbish, and then I followed the thread and everybody was slating him. But then I put that same chat in our chat, but then I went, like you should do, you should go on Wikipedia, I should go on Transfer Market. But he does have good numbers, by the way, and like even last year when he was injured, I think he had like 13 goals, 7 assists or something like that, and he only played a handful of games. So I think as well, and I agree with Scott, I think a right winger, I'm excited at the prospect of a good right winger. So see if we can get those two deals over the line. It's going to soften the blow with the fans a little bit because it's two areas which we've wanted to strengthen for a while. So let's wait and see.
Yeah, Nick, I agree with Jamie there. There's two signings I think you can get excited about, to be honest. Traore, I mean, we've got no goals in the top end of the park, and he looks like a guy that can do that for us. Jordan in the middle of the park looks like a guy we're crying out for. I've said for donkeys how powder puff we are in the middle of the park. What's your thoughts on those two potential signings?
Yeah, agreed, mate. Powder puff was probably the phrase I was going to use, mate. We have been powder puff, toothless, however way you want to put it, for too many years at that top end of the park, mate. And yeah, I mean, I was speaking to Jamie during the week, and I'd kind of said actually I would maybe quite like Rangers to move the midfield around a wee bit. I would quite like us to maybe move away from maybe this 10, just because simply I don't think Cantwell has shown enough so far to be an out-and-out starter number 10. I just don't think he gets the numbers that we need from a 10. Maybe we transition to more of a 6 and maybe 2 8s. I think we've got plenty of players there that can fill the 8 position. So that number 6, I know Connor Barron, I suspect he's that kind of maybe 6-8 hybrid, but I like to think that Connor Barron is maybe the Ryan Jack replacement. I think realistically, everybody's got their opinion about Lundstrom and how good or bad he was, right? The reality was Lundstrom was the main midfielder for us last year. He was the main midfielder under Clement until he had that disaster at Parkhead where he completely lost his head. He was the main starter. He was the first centre mid Clement had on the team sheet. We haven't replaced that yet, and we've spoke a lot, haven't we, about we simply haven't replaced Stephen Davis. You think about him being able to control games from that number 6 position 2-3 years ago before he get that nasty injury. We simply haven't replaced that. And Joan Jordan does look like he can maybe do that. I do think Rangers are going to need to dig a bit deeper. I've seen rumours that we'd offered to pay 30% of his wages. We're not going to be able to pay 70 grand a week, but we are potentially going to need to stretch a wee bit more to get somebody like that in the door. But this is the hard thing, right? What do Rangers fans want, right? Because we've obviously, what we've kind of done in the market so far is we've brought in the prospects, we've brought in the young guys who don't cost money, who hopefully will start to contribute to this player trading model that we speak about a lot. Clement is now talking about bringing in the experienced players, the guys who have good numbers, the guys who have good CVs, the guys who have won things like Jordan at Seville, like Traore at Ferencváros. You need to put your hand in your pocket for these players, right? It's very, very unlikely that you will pick up. You're never going to get 100% hit rate on these gems, right? Picking up guys for cheap markets, picking up guys for free transfers, you're never going to get 100% hit rate. If you want to buy in players who have good numbers, good experience, unfortunately, you need to put your hand in your pocket. And listen, 3.5 million seems like quite a stretch. Hopefully, Trabzonspor are doing us a bit of a favour with Tavernier. We've got a lot of other players we could move out over the next couple of weeks. For 3.5 million quid, if you can get a guy that can come in and score 15, 20 goals, get 10 assists as well from the right wing position, that should pretty much replace Tavernier straight away, and it just gives us another aspect to our attack, which has been lacking for far too long, mate.
Just quickly, Ali, to answer Nicky's question, he said, what do Rangers fans want? Go on to Rangers Twitter, mate. You'll see we want Richard Gough at the back, we want Barry Ferguson in the middle, and we want Alan McCoist up front. It's not much to ask for, is it? Let's be honest.
Nah, not, mate. That's achievable.
on 4 million quid, it's achievable, yes.
Yeah. Well, we'll just need to wait and see what's happening. I mean, there's 6 weeks left in this transfer window. There's a long way to run. So we'll see what happens. But yes, we are at the hour. We'll just quickly talk about, there's actually a game tomorrow through in Edinburgh in Murrayfield. We are playing Manchester United tomorrow, and that's a glorified exhibition for me. It's through Ticketmaster as well. I know Man United have played there a few times against other teams, but I think it's more of a day out for us going through to Edinburgh. The Rangers game is just a bit of a sideshow, I think, for us, but we will be there. We're playing Man United. Man United have played one game so far in pre-season. They've played Rosenborg. They were beaten 1-0. I was looking at their team. The only real notable players that Man United had playing was Rashford, Mason Mount, Casemiro, Johnny Evans, who I forgot went back to Man United, and Wan-Bissaka. And then it was littered with younger players. There was nobody else there. Most of their players have been playing in the Euros and will not be playing. Carney tomorrow, it's the old cliche. It's about getting minutes in the legs, maybe a more recognised Rangers team going forward, because we do play competitive football in 2 weeks' time. What are you expecting to see tomorrow?
Well, yeah, seamless link to our Patreon mate. Ryan had Hamza on from the Friday Night Counter-Attack pod. Hamza's a massive Man United fan. Ryan had him on our Patreon last night, and they had a pretty thorough chat and a proper preview about the game. But yeah, tomorrow, mate, I expect to see something. I expect to see a few, the usual kind of building of patterns of play, that kind of thing, not just a case of passing the ball about. And I think after your training camp and after your kind of 2 initial friendlies, or I know the kind of bounce game and then their kind of official friendly with Ajax, and after your training camp's done, this is when we should start to see results happening. You've had your camp now, you've got your fitness back to pretty much where it needs to be. Yes, it's a work in progress up to the start of the season, but most players will be there or thereabouts now. It's time to see a bit of football. A bit of pattern, a bit of competitive football, and I hope we can do that. Yeah, it's a bit of a glamour time, mate. It is, and it's obviously through in Edinburgh, and we'll certainly make a day of it tomorrow, but I do still expect to see, I'm not expecting Rangers to go there and beat Man United 6-0. I don't mean anything like that, but you'll get what I mean. I just expect to start to see a little bit of something coming together, something where you can start to see different maybe ideas, different play ideas. I said, I don't know if Tavernier will be involved tomorrow or not. It'll be interesting to see that, I think. But just something you can start to hang your hat on, mate. Just something to maybe get the juices going a little bit, because it's been very negative recently due to the stadium and the way transfers is going. So just something to get us a wee bit looking forward to the start of the season, instead of not dreading it but having real concerns around it.
Yeah, Jamie, I mean, last pre-season under Beale, I couldn't see any identity under Rangers. I didn't have a clue what we were doing. I agree with Carney. Tomorrow is when it properly starts the competitive games. I think Ajax was minutes in the legs, but tomorrow it properly starts for me, and I agree with Carney. I'm expecting to see something from Rangers tomorrow. I agree with Carney. I'm expecting Rangers to go and beat Man United 2-3, 4-0, whatever it is, but I'm expecting to see something, an identity, how we're going to play next season. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with Scott. You're wanting to see some patterns of play tomorrow. I mean, last week against Ajax, that's 90 minutes of my life I'm never going to get back to. It was a terrible game. But you could see, like, Jeff Day, I spoke about him on the post-match. I think he looks a good player, by the way, and he was looking to link up with Matondo. Matondo was absolutely rotten. So I think some interplay down that left-hand side, and I'm going to be paying close attention to Sterling at right back tomorrow, because he was a wee bit suspect for the first Ajax goal as well. But I think that might be a wee bit of ring rust. And then Connor Barron as well, I'm going to be keeping a close eye on him. But overall, I'm with Scotty. Just more specific passages of play. I want to see more tempo. I just want to see them look a little bit fitter, a little bit fresher as well. And yeah, just kind of start to build up. Yeah, because as you say, mate, this time last season, that Newcastle game at Ibrox, the writing was on the wall. So I'm really hoping after a couple of pre-season games, it's not going to be the same this season. But let's go for it.
Yeah, Nicky, I mean, Rangers against Man United, it's a bit of a glamour tie, if you want to say. Last time we played them was Champions League years ago, I think. But yeah, I'll be looking forward going through to Murrayfield to see it. And what do you expect to see from Rangers tomorrow? I mean, I expected to see a similar team to what I round off against Ajax, but again, like the guys are saying, I'm looking to see patterns of play and what we're looking to do going forward.
Yeah, an old Battle of Britain tomorrow. Nah, I don't think it'll be as competitive as that, but I would echo what Scott and Jamie have said, mate. I think the key things for us is you want to start seeing a bit of a style. You want to start to see things around what Clement and his team are working on day in, day out at training, those patterns of play. We want to see a bit of a system. I think Clement probably problem solved a lot of last season because he simply didn't have the players to play, I think, the roles that, and listen, we could argue he still doesn't have the players because we've still not brought in enough, but I think he problem solved a wee bit, a lot throughout last season. We're just trying to work with what he had. But he's had a full pre-season, or nearly a full pre-season. I know there's still a couple of weeks left, but he's had a fairly large chunk of pre-season now to work on what he wants his Rangers team to look like this year. So you want to see that, and to Jamie's point, mate, you want to see tempo, you want to see effort, you want to see a similar performance level to what we seen when Clement first came in last season, because he kind of get that bounce, didn't he, where all of a sudden we looked a far fitter team. Our tempo was good. They looked like there was more structure to us than what there was under Michael Beale. Obviously, that fell away a wee bit at the tail end of last season, but you almost want to see that, mate, in a performance. I don't think the result matters that much. Yeah, listen, it would be great to keep a clean sheet and score some goals, but you want to see a performance probably more so than anything that gives you a wee bit of confidence that in 2 weeks' time when we rock up to Tynecastle, we'll be just about ready to go, mate.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to tomorrow to going through. And just seeing Rangers. I always look forward to seeing Rangers until I'm there and I'm like, Christ, this is miserable. But we've went well over the hour, which I thought we might do. So I'd like to thank everyone in the comments tonight for getting involved. But last but not least, my 3 guests that have come on tonight. Carney, thanks for coming on tonight. And tomorrow is the warm-up before we disappear to Berlin next Friday. And he's on mute. There we go.
I'm on mute. I was on mute. Sorry. Yes, I am on mute. No, I'm looking forward to tomorrow, mate. Thank you for everybody for tonight. Thanks for everybody in the chat. And yeah, it's the warm-up for our romantic getaway, mate, next week. But no, I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully we see something from Rangers tomorrow. That would be quite nice.
Yes, and Jamie, thanks very much for coming on. I know you're not going tomorrow, but I'm sure you'll be watching.
No, I was going to come with you boys, but I'm doing the noble thing and I'm going out on a date with the missus tomorrow instead. So I'll no doubt have it on my phone at some point. But hopefully Rangers give a performance, and then next time I'm back on, I'm going to be back to my usual optimistic self after we've signed a couple of players as well. So
I hope my missus doesn't watch this, Jamie, because I was out last weekend in the Waverley. I'm out this weekend, and I'm away to Berlin with Carney the following weekend.
I've flung you under the bus here, mate. Sorry.
Yes. So you'll look very good that you're away out with your missus. So hopefully she doesn't watch. And last but not least, Nicky, thanks for coming on tonight.
Thanks for having us, mate. Good chat as always. I think my comments on Butland have the potential to take off a bit like Jamie's Dessers shout at the Loudon last year, mate. I suspect we'll still be talking about that in a few weeks. But listen, it's all about opinions. But no, it was good to be on and good to see almost the full team as well.
Yeah, no, thanks for the guys tonight. Thanks for everyone in the comments. And as Carney's putting the link there, we are moving to Patreon. As I said at the beginning of the podcast, we are officially starting the first game of the season against Hearts. So yeah, if you want to come along with the ride with us, the link is there. We will do a post-match reaction from Midfield tomorrow. It'll be me and Carney, I would assume, tomorrow. I don't know if Dixie will be joining in that too, but we will do a post-match. So yeah, looking forward to it. But yes, thanks everyone tonight. We have been Club at 22 at the Rangers podcast, and we'll see you tomorrow.